Hello and welcome to the First Issue Club, the weekly podcast that aids you through the muddy and murky waters of the comic book landscape. And just like Sue Storm, we love a good read. I'm Greg.
And I'm Vargas.
And we're going to dub this one Take Two.
Take Two. We recorded 5 minutes of our previous take, but we actually talked for like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So.
And the 30 minutes that has been lost to time probably would have won awards.
Definitely.
Acclaim.
Yeah.
We would have had Manscaped or Blue Apron knocking down our door.
At least minimum Casper mattress.
Yeah, their emails go straight to spam. Casper, I've had enough. If I wanted a ghost bed, I'd sleep in a haunted house.
Is it too late to have a new tagline for the podcast? If I wanted a ghost bed, I'd sleep in a haunted house.
We'll workshop it. Welcome, folks. This is the show where we talk about breaking comic book news, first issues and comics of the week that we love. But today we're going to be doing something a little different. Andy and I are sans Mike D. He couldn't make it today. So, as they say, when the Mike D is away, the Andy and Greg will play.
We are going to talk about one of my favorite subjects to talk about.
Himself.
Bond. James Bond. Dynamite's been doing Bond series for the last 10 years, and there's plenty of material to go around. So Greg and I are going to be diving into not only the comics, I think we're going to try and do some movie commentaries.
Movie commentary.
And just, inform you a little bit more about who Bond is, where he comes from, and what he's all about. I
am a Bond noob, you would say. I'm a casual.
Sure.
Or a casualty in Bond terms. I've seen the Pierce Brosnan ones from the 90s.
Yeah.
And then all of the new ones that come out with, who is that guy?
Daniel Craig.
Daniel Craig.
Yeah.
Mr. Daddy himself.
Yes.
And they're great, but I've never read any of the comics. I've never read any of the books. I've never seen any of the older Bond stuff.
I am so excited about this. When you pitched this to me, I didn't realize that you were so unexposed.
Yes.
To James Bond.
Just say ignorant.
No. You're just unexposed. You know what a Bond is.
I'm familiar with what a Bond is.
Yeah.
I've seen a Bond.
You know it's not Gold Bond when we're talking about.
No. But there should be a movie where that's a villain. Gold Bond. Yeah. It's like it's just a clone of him but made out of gold.
Yeah. And he uses powder on his genitals
to stay minty fresh.
But yeah, I am a huge James Bond fan. I own all the movies. I've read all the comics. I am trying to go back right now and find the reprinted newspaper comic strips.
Oh, whoa. I didn't know there was that.
Oh, yeah, buddy.
In depth.
I've got 2 of the big books. Of course, they're now out of print, but
yeah,
might bring those and talk about those.
Have you read any of the novels?
Yeah, I've read Man with the Golden Gun, Goldfinger, and Casino Royale.
Okay. But you said there's a lot of books.
There's 15 or 16 novels, all of which have been turned into movies by MGM.
Oh, wow. Okay.
There are, of course, more movies than that based on original material. Again, we'll dive into all this.
Yes.
Both in this episode and future episodes.
And on the Patreon.
Correct.
Patreon.com/firstissueclub. You'll get this new James Bond show that we're doing. Plus, we do, at minimum, 1 new show a week for the Patreon feed. We also have videos up there and movie reviews and all kinds of fun stuff that you want from us in bonus form over on the Patreon.
Yeah.
And it's the price of a comic a month. You can get all the access to that.
I'm a member, and you should be too.
I keep telling you to not be a member.
And I keep telling you it's about metrics, Greg. metrics.
And this is why all my businesses fail.
You and Mike D both need to be. You know what? Everyone needs to. Need to
Yes.
get my mom, need to get my dad, need to get my dog.
Steal your mom's credit card and sign her up for the First Issue Club Patreon.
It's $3.99 a month. She'll never notice.
Should never, no.
Tell her the price of Netflix went up by $4 a month.
Yep, and it's called Patreon.
Yeah, exactly. But first,
Yes.
we're going to do a regular episode for all you normies out there that aren't Patreon members.
Right.
So you get what you came for.
You get the free stuff, which is delicious.
Quality.
Delicious, free comic book content. And then if you want to peek into the Patreon, wait till the back half of the episode and you'll get that Patreon goodness.
Excellent.
So we're going to do a little news and then a couple of the first issues we've read that we liked.
Perfect.
A few things. Cy Spurrier's book, Damn Them All, was a limited series. Now ongoing for Boom Studios.
Totally makes sense.
Very excited for them.
That creative team begs for an ongoing series.
Yeah.
Cy Spurrier and Charlie Adlard, right?
Yes.
Of Invincible fame.
You're absolutely right. So
and Walking Dead? Didn't he, after
yeah.
Tony Moore, right?
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, that's a no-brainer, right?
When you get that kind of creative team, you're just like, well, do you really want to limit yourself to 6?
Yeah, right?
Do as long as you want.
I'm blown away that they didn't do that from the get-go.
It was probably just like, they're like, do a limited, see people latch onto it, then we'll take it from there. That's happened with tons of different books that I've read.
Yeah.
So excited for those creatives over there at Boom Studios. They got a hit.
Do we know if they're going to keep the numbering or if they're going to restart from 1?
I would assume they're just going to keep the numbering.
That seems like the thing to do.
They've probably written their 6 out.
Yeah.
And they're just like, you got any more in you?
Yeah. Okay, number 7.
Yeah. And then, number 7 comes out.
Dope.
So good for them.
Good for them.
A couple of Marvel events are coming out this summer. The Ultimate Universe is back with Jonathan Hickman and Brian Hitch.
Finally.
I know we've been clamoring for it. It's been gone for 10 years?
Almost since 2015.
Yeah. So it's been a while since we've seen the quote unquote true Ultimate Universe. It ended with Secret Wars.
Yep.
The Ultimate Universe is kind of like an Elseworld type situation. It exists in an alternate universe, so they can get away with different origins and different interpretations of stories from superheroes you've grown to know and love.
Yeah, it was almost a soft reboot for the Marvel Universe where they could have writers come in and not have to adhere to between 40 and 60 years of back material.
A very restrictive continuity.
Yeah, exactly.
And so not much is known about the story other than it takes place in the Ultimate Universe. And 616, like I think they're trying to push a lot of stuff into the 616.
Sure.
To add more characters, or possibly what I've read is they're going to expand into more Ultimate books again.
So do you think they're pulling like a reverse Secret Wars where we start with the 616 and it's going to somehow split?
Explode again into
presumably the maker will split her off.
Yeah, because I think Marvel could suckle at that teat for about 5 years of new books, new characters, and money.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't surprise me. I'm surprised they haven't used the maker that much in Marvel stuff.
Yeah, really, he only showed up in Venom, from what I'm aware of.
Yeah, he was in what was that? X-Men vs. Fantastic Four for a second.
Oh, yeah.
Like, they've just kind of like peppered him in and out. Mm-hmm. So maybe that's what they're leading up to, is like he's been kind of reclused working on this new device or whatever to either go home or expand upon new worlds he can conquer.
Excellent.
So
I love the maker as a character. Evil Reed Richards. Come on.
Right. I mean, Reed Richards is the greatest super villain.
Oh, yeah.
And like everyone knows it.
Yeah.
And so to have a version of that just like leans into and like I don't even think he sees himself as evil. He's just like one of those super scientists that is just like, you're all too dumb to understand how I am helping you.
Exactly.
And it like comes off as just like condescending and petty.
Well,
and murderous.
And in the 616, it's like Reed Richards is that same way, but he leans toward altruism and good, whatever you define good, right?
Right.
But in the Ultimate Universe, it's the exact same character, but he leans toward basically himself.
Yeah.
Like whatever he wants, that's what he's going to do.
Yeah. He says, fuck you, I'm going to do what I want.
Yeah.
And wear this giant helmet thing.
Yeah, because he stretched his brain, which is so weird.
To get more thoughts.
Yeah, exactly.
It's my mind palace.
So weird, but so good.
Another summer event for Marvel is the Contest of Chaos.
Yeah.
Which is kind of still unknown. It's from the promo art. It's basically something is happening in the Marvel 616 that is pitting heroes and villains against one another. There isn't like a huge team up or, one against the other. It's just like kind of a free for all. And the rumor going around the internet is that like the embodiment of chaos, Lord Chaos, is causing some shenanigans.
Sure.
Or, I think his name is like the Undoer or something, or like I don't want to say like the Underminer or whatever, but that's from Incredibles. But it's like he was in the Ultimates too, that Al Ewing wrote.
Is
He's
it
like,
the In-Betweener?
The In-Betweener.
Yeah.
There's theories that the In-Betweener could be coming into... like Marvel does this thing where like the embodiment of fear or infinity or whatever becomes a physical body, and then
punches Captain America in the face.
Superheroes have to fight it or whatever, and it's like it's so fucking heady.
Yeah.
It's like Grant Morrison, Jim Starlin level of just like,
so good.
None of this makes fucking sense, but to one person. Like you're writing this book for one person.
Yeah. It's like, when you sit down with a kid and like clearly they have a thought that's too big for their head.
Yeah.
And they don't have the words to express whatever thought they have. That's like what this seems to be.
Yeah, I do it all the time on this show.
Yeah.
I have a thought. I'm just like, I can't. Do you dream? And like, that takes up 5 minutes of the show. So,
and that's why we love you, buddy.
I am the special sauce, as they say.
You truly are.
And so that's coming out this summer too, with the Grootfall and Venom stuff, and
yes, the summer of symbiotes.
So get ready, Marvel fans. The summer is going to be hot, and your bank account will be low.
Cool. There's nothing in there to keep it hot. DC also announced an event, Night Terror with a K, of course. Not terror with a K, but it's night like K and I
always spell terror with a K, and I always get yelled at.
Could be silent.
Silent K. The silent killer.
I didn't see, creative team.
Sure.
Didn't see what the story is, but it looks metal as hell, which means I'll probably be buying it and 2 variants for each book.
I'm assuming there's like music homage, probably an acetate cover.
Yep.
Maybe a die cut.
Yep. And you got to know Batman's fighting someone because it's with a K.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I'm excited to see the Quesada variant that probably comes with one of these.
Oh God, so dope.
Who else is like well known for their
Art Germ.
Art Germ right now? Sway's doing some Catwoman stuff. That's crazy.
Boss Logic will have a 1 in 100 variant.
Yep. Zdarsky will have a 1 in 500. So good times.
Good times.
Which is crazy. They're only doing
money.
one summer event in DC. We talked about this is the dawn of DC. The new books coming out right now are fantastic. I just read Superman from Williamson.
Yeah.
That was fantastic.
He's such a great writer.
A great way to start Dawn of DC.
Yeah.
I love the horniness of Lois and Superman.
Yeah. They should be horny for each other.
Yeah, fuck yes. They've been so careful and like non-PDA for so long. Like, yeah, of course you smash each other.
Yeah. Look how
all
hot
the
you both
time.
are.
You're both smoldering hot. Stop being prudish.
Where and when is the Superman fuck book?
I'm sure it exists, and in certain, social hierarchies and clubs, you get to read it.
Right.
I'm like at the highest level of Scientology, you get to read the bootleg Superman Kama Sutra.
Right. Superman Kama Sutra. That's it.
So, it's fun. The Dawn of DC is really has a foot in the right direction.
Yeah.
As far as creative teams, new energy to the franchises. I am a notorious Future State lover.
Yeah.
I loved what they were going to do with Future State. I thought it had a lot of gas. But with Dan DiDio leaving and kind of the puttering out of all that, that was left to the wayside.
That seems to be DC's modus operandi, though. They'll take big swings, but at the end of the day, it's not going to stick.
Sure. But
Which I guess, that's comic books. You can say that about anybody.
That's business,
I guess.
baby.
That's business.
That's why the McRib only comes around once a year.
That's right.
They can't financially support that.
That's right. We can't stand being away from the McRib for too long.
Do you know how much it costs to make a McRib? We can only afford it for 1 month a year.
Probably at a fucking nickel.
Yeah, it costs nothing. It's basically just smashed up burger buns molded into meat.
With sauce on it.
Into meat shape. Each night they go to the dumpster and collect all the old nugget remnants. Wash them off. Don't be gross.
Put them in a blender. Put them in a mold.
Yeah, like a waffle maker and just make a McRib.
Dope. I want a McRib now.
A McRib maker. Well, Christmas is just around the corner. I'll make one for you.
Fingers crossed.
So then that's really all the news. Oh, no. Something is Killing Children.
That's right.
Just got greenlit for a Netflix show.
Yeah, they've got the showrunner from Dark and 1899 doing the show. So pull out those back issues, sell that #1.
Yeah.
Because it's only going to be going up.
I think I have one, and it's signed by Tynion.
You should probably slab it. Slab it.
Slab it. And get it back in a year.
We're just in time for the show to be canceled.
Just in time for the first trailer to drop, and people go, oh, this looks like shit.
Well, if you want to read the book.
Yeah. Buy this and crack it open. So that's been greenlit. And then, I think that's really all the news.
That's all I had.
Stuff. And then I just want to quickly touch on some books that I read. Local Man by Tim Seeley and Tony Fleck.
Yep.
You have a review up on that book on firstissueclub.com.
I do.
So if you want to go read Andy's words about it, go there. I loved it.
It's so good.
We described it as like a slice of life book that quickly turns into it's going to be like a whodunit.
Yeah.
Not really a murder mystery, but like someone's going around killing these super people.
One assumes. After issue 1.
I've only have one issue to make assumptions on, and right now I'm 1 for 1.
Yeah, that's right. I loved this book. I promise you that this book will be getting heat. I think that this is going to end up being a lot like Revival, where it doesn't get a lot of people talking about it while it's coming out, but now after the fact, everybody talks about how great Revival is.
Right.
I think this is going to be the same thing.
Yeah. It's going to get probably some boys comparisons because it is about a disgruntled ex-superhero leaving its superhero team. If you've never seen it or advertising for this book, it is peak image 90s goodness.
Yeah.
It's Rob Liefeld on steroids. And for someone, you and I, we grew up in the 90s. We experienced this in its heyday. It was really fun to just kind of relive that and get a different interpretation of those super beefed up superheroes
Yeah.
in those worlds.
Yeah, the getting the hindsight view of those characters is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
The thing that I liked most about this book is that, like Greg said, he's an super extreme team member.
Right.
And the main story tells his adventures after getting canceled or kicked off the team.
Yeah, we don't know yet.
But you flip over the book and it's a classic Image alternate book where there's a flashback story of him on the team, and every single issue is going to be like that.
Right.
You're going to get a main story of him dealing with the repercussions and, his life in small town.
Sure.
And then you flip it over and it's a flashback.
It's like
issue.
him in his heyday.
Yeah. So
And
dope.
So, I mean, just to get those juxtapositions, it's just like so much fun. Tim Seeley has like 3 books out right now that I'm also getting.
He's got a ton of stuff.
So it's the season of Seeley,
Yeah.
as we say here at First Issue Club, and couldn't be brighter.
Yeah.
Very excited for every book that he comes out with.
Yeah, I love Tim Seeley. Hop on Kickstarter and back his hack slash omnibus.
Is it still going?
It's still going.
Okay.
It's still going. It's probably got 2 or 3 weeks left.
Yeah.
Big oversized hardcovers of the hack slash series. Volume 3 is the one that's running right now. As part of that, you can get volume 1, 2, and their crossover volume
X,
which is hack slash versus Vampirella and Reanimator, and I think Chucky is in there, Evil Ernie,
Jesus Christ,
all that kind of stuff. So
hell yeah,
it's dope. I love Tim Seeley.
Yeah.
I buy every book I can with his name on it.
dude, solid. Have you seen, to stay on Kickstarter real quick, have you seen Andy Diggle's Kickstarter for The Expanse right now?
Dude, he raised like $1 million.
He raised $1 million fucking dollars.
Yeah.
For the last story in The Expanse.
Yeah.
Which is a TV show, right?
Well, it's a series of novels
Oh, okay.
turned into a TV series, turned into a comic series.
Fucking rad.
Yeah.
Good for Andy.
Is that a Boom? Is that coming out on Boom?
It's coming out on Boom Studios.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I don't know if it's like a Berserker kind of situation where they wanted to make it and wanted to get some extra funding for it, or
Yeah.
I don't know. But I don't remember Berserker making that kind of money.
It made a lot. I don't know that it made $1 million, but it made a lot.
Yeah, but that Expanse fans have spoken,
Yeah.
and they want fucking Expanse comic books.
They want Andy Diggle's Expanse.
And they're getting it. What else did I read? Oh, I read Blue Book
Yes.
by James Tynion.
Yep. I read it too. I'm stoked on this book too.
It's so fucking fun.
It tells the story of Barney Hill and his wife who were abducted by aliens in 1968 or something like that. It was the first big UFO encounter
Yeah.
that really got publicity. Greg informed me that this is his Substack series.
Yep.
Come to print on Dark Horse. And I am stoked by it. Like the fact that they named it Blue Book, hearkening back to the government investigation of aliens, and then took it a step further and did the comic in black, white, and blue.
Right.
It's just so brilliant. Like that's the stuff that I never would have come up with.
It's so brilliant. And James Tynion again writes a masterful, suspenseful story. Only, they only use 3 colors in this whole book, but to, create this expanded dialogue of this event where, we don't know what the conversations they had with one another during this, but I don't know, the pacing of it and just the general vibe of the book is one you read like under the blankets of your bed with a flashlight as a kid, and it's like it really hits you in the nostalgia of just like, I love alien abductee books, and like this will hit it really well with some people.
You nailed something that I didn't even put 2 and 2 together. The first movie that I was actually ever scared of, like truly came home from the theater and I could not sleep, was a movie called The Mothman Prophecy.
Oh my God. Do not mention that movie to Caitlin.
Okay. This book gave me those same vibes.
Yeah.
You know, I'm 2 years older now, so I'm far more.
Clearly I've grown as a person.
But no, this book gave me those. It's not scary. It's terrifying. It's that deeper level of like,
yeah,
holy shit, this
like
is something.
Gene altering fear of like unescapable dread.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
very, very cool.
Yeah. I absolutely loved it. I'm stoked for the rest of the series. I pre-ordered every cover because they're all so legit. And I was just blown away by it.
Yeah.
Both these books, honestly, Local Man and Blue Book.
Yeah. Go out there, get these books, support independent publishers and independent creators. You're not going to be disappointed with these selections at all.
Yeah. This is a good week.
It's a phenomenal week for comic books. I mean, ton of great stuff out on DC and Marvel. Image is hitting as well. So,
We said no news. I saw that Saga 63 or whatever.
Yeah.
The last issue is going to second print.
Jesus Christ.
Can you imagine?
Okay.
I know, right? I don't know if it was first appearance of a character. I don't know if, it's I think the second issue of whatever arc they're on. But it's going, I mean, a book that's 60-something issues in that's not Batman.
Yeah. Getting a second printing is bananas.
It's wild.
So that's like 8 billion genies.
Yeah.
Like fever pitch stardom.
Yeah.
Which I just got the 5th printings in for some of those books in the mail yesterday.
So good.
I love it. That's such a great book. I can't wait to watch that TV series.
I know. I'm stoked for issue 8. I'm drooling to see how that series ends.
Knowing that creative team, it's going to be perfect.
Oh, yeah.
So.
All right.
Oh, we're into Bond time now.
Are we?
Yep. So that's the regular show's over. First issue club. Wasn't that great? Do-do-do-ba-do-boop. Done. Oh, wait. What's this? A peek behind the curtain. Oh, we're going to the Patreon zone.
But bonus episode.
You're not supposed to be here. You're supposed to have to pay to see this stuff. Oh, that's okay. Come on in.
Come on in. The podcast is warm.
Yeah. We'll say the first taste is free.
Oh, yeah, that's it. That's how we get them.
So here we're going to workshop a name for the show.
Oh, yes. First things first.
And then we're going to talk about kind of what the show is.
Sure.
So, so some of the names I had for the show were License to Binge. And Shaken Not Stirred.
Perfect. Very Bond podcast. Very professional. You could put it on a t-shirt.
Thank you.
I went a punnier route.
Yep.
So my ideas are male bonding,
which is one of my favorites.
Live and Let Dynamite.
Very good.
Podcasts Are Forever. From KC with Love. And 007th Issue Club.
That may be my favorite.
That's your favorite?
I genuinely love that. But we're going to leave it up to the folks online. We're going to put up a poll so you guys can vote to see what the show should be called. If you have a better idea,
we will steal it.
Yeah. So put it out there and we'll steal it. But yeah, so this is where we're going to cover the Dynamite series of Bond books. They've been going for how long?
Almost a decade now. Well, a decade, I guess.
Yeah.
The modern series, Dynamite, started in 2012, and that was the first Bond comic printed in 20 years. So they pretty much started from scratch.
Yeah.
All of these are in continuity as far as I'm aware. They're licensed by the Ian Fleming estate, and they're whatever, with real James Bond stories. So if you are a Bond movie nerd like I am, this stuff scratches that itch.
Yes.
You don't have to wait. You don't have to wonder if, Daniel Craig is going to feel good or bad about Bond today. You don't have to worry about the next casting.
Yeah.
You just got to wait a month between
issues. And then you're good to go.
Yeah. So we're starting this series with one of my favorite Bond stories of all time.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite Bond comics of all time, Hammerhead.
Yeah. Was this first in the relaunched series, or we start in the middle somewhere? Or?
We are starting in the middle somewhere.
Okay.
But that is the nice part about these Bond comics.
Yeah.
Is there were two 12-issue series. Warren Ellis did one with Jason Masters.
Mm-hmm.
That started it back in 2012. 2 6-issue arcs numbered 1 to 12.
Right.
Greg Pak did a 12-issue series.
Yes, he did. Mm-hmm.
1 to 12. But since then, it's been 6-issue minis,
mm-hmm.
which is great. I think it plays to the James Bond movie feel a little bit more than having, an ongoing series.
Yeah. And it forces you to get to the action.
Oh yeah.
From what, from the Hammerhead, from what we just read, this pacing was pretty.
It was tight,
upbeat. Yeah, it was a really tight drum of just my name is James Bond. There's a problem. I'm going to have sex, and then I'm going to fix the problem. Which, if you know James Bond, which I know little, that's kind of the setup of what he does.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay. So you're basically unfamiliar with Bond.
Yeah, I am as unfamiliar with James Bond as he is with condoms.
Oh yeah, that's nice.
So very unfamiliar.
Very unfamiliar. So your overall reaction to this story,
mm-hmm.
as someone who's less familiar with Bond, how'd you feel about it?
I thought it was great. I am unfamiliar with James Bond, but I am very familiar with spy and espionage stories.
Okay, cool.
And so, Bond is your gateway drug to spy and espionage shit.
Definitely.
Ian Fleming, wrote the book, really.
Yeah, literally wrote the book.
And it is classic Bond stuff of just, him using his wits and his cunning and his charm to best an evil that is so large that it seems unbeatable.
Yeah. That to me, as a James Bond mega fan, is the hardest thing to nail with a Bond story.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have something that is so large that it threatens. It doesn't have to be the world, but it has to be a large, country-sized threat at least. But it has to be able to be taken down with a surgical one-man strike. And in fact, that needs to be the only way it can be taken down.
Yes.
You can't throw an army at a single megalomaniac, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because, if we bomb the base, then the nuke blows up.
Mm-hmm.
You have to send Bond in to disarm the nuke.
You need an inside guy
to
get in there and take care of the problem.
Exactly.
And, so I don't know if this is a common thing for every James Bond story, but it seems like at the beginning he's always in trouble. He's always one bad review away from being fired.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know how he hasn't. I mean, I guess there are some stories where he's just quote unquote fired to give off the illusion that he's no longer with M16 or whatever.
He's been fired before.
Oh, he has?
Legitimately fired.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. In License to Kill, he gets his License to Kill revoked.
Oh man, so he licensed to hug,
license to shop,
and
that's it.
But it's I would hate to be James Bond's supervisor, because it's it's got to be what the fuck did you do this time? I told you, James, fucking stay in the building. And James Bond is well, I had to go to Prague, and then the explosions happened, but to my defense, I wanted to have sex. And that's every Bond setup of just like, you told me to do something, but I didn't want to.
But on the flip side of that, you have that 1 week, but then like a week later, he's like, I killed the bad guy and I disarmed the nuke.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do about it?
So bonus, please. Thank you. I'm going to go get a macchiato. I'm James Bond.
I'm James Bond. That's how he finishes every sentence.
I'm James Bond.
I'm James Bond. He's Don Rosa.
He's the Don Rosa of espionage.
So we should probably talk about what the story of Hammerhead is, right?
Yeah.
So Hammerhead is an arms dealer story. Bond is tasked with finding a villain named Kraken who has infiltrated this arms dealer company.
Yeah.
Because they've got a deal with the United Kingdom to disarm their nuclear missile arsenals, and Kraken has threatened to interrupt that chain, take over the nukes, and bomb the world into oblivion.
Yeah.
That's the setup.
Yeah. So this arms dealer is like, it's basically just like Costco for nations and for rogue armies. They make these super advanced weapons, and new technology comes from this arms dealer.
Yeah.
And these things exist in the real world.
Yeah.
There are companies that their main job is just to make badass weapons for different militaries.
Yep.
And the fucking scary thing is they have no allegiance except to the dollar bill.
The almighty dollar.
And once you wrap your mind around that, you decide to go eat that second bowl of ice cream because nothing fucking matters. And that's what makes this book so cool. It's like they kind of normalize the thing of just like, oh, this arms dealer is having this expo. Like, come see our cool new hyper bullets.
Yeah.
Like, they insult you as they shoot you. and like Bond is there just as like kind of like as a liaison. He's just basically gathering information at this point.
Yeah, he's been sent to protect the head of the company.
Yeah.
And shit pops off. Are we doing spoilers? That's the one thing we have not talked about.
Yeah, this is spoilers.
Okay, so at the end of issue 1, the head of the arms company is killed.
Loses his head.
By his own bullets. They talk about the super bullets that he's got that are basically like little grenades inside a handgun bullet.
Yeah.
And he's killed.
Someone in the NRA is hearing this and just exploding with orgasm.
Taking notes.
Yeah.
Oh, Christ.
Grenade bullets.
Out of my cold, dead hands.
This gun shoots another gun.
Finally.
And so the head of the arms dealer is dead.
Yeah.
But his daughter, the second in command, is now with Bond. He's like protecting her.
Yeah. She basically takes over the company.
Yeah.
But we can't talk about issue 1 without talking about the fucking interrogation scene.
So that did happen in issue 1.
Yeah.
Okay. So as they were trying to escape from this chaos that's happening at the expo,
yeah,
Bond is collecting enemy shooters left and right, trying to interrogate them, and they're just like, I'd rather die. And James Bond is like, then you will die.
Then you will die. And he blasts him in the face.
And he comes across this one, and they're in like a tunnel that's through an aquarium.
Yeah.
Like you would see in SeaWorld or any kind of aquarium.
Yeah.
And Bond, in his brilliance, shoots the glass.
Yeah, because he's got both of them hands up. And Bond shoots the glass above him.
Shoots the glass, thereby releasing all of the animals that were in the aquarium.
Yep.
And Bond then proceeds to interrogate this man by having a great white shark eat him.
Yeah.
And to give up information.
Yeah.
Which is the most comic book thing I've ever seen. I don't think Batman's even done that.
That's the one thing that I love about specifically these James Bond comic books. And this story in particular is that, like you said, this is a comic book thing that could only happen in comic books.
Right.
There's no way that if you tried to put that in a movie or write it in a novel, that would come across as anything but laughable.
Yeah. It'd be Austin Powers 4.
Yeah. And it's pretty over the top in a comic book, but I think it worked.
It was delightful though.
Yeah.
And like it's not misplaced in a comic.
Right.
When that happens, you're just like, huh, that's pretty funny.
That's pretty great. Yeah.
And you know, it worked. The guy gave up some information.
Yep.
Bond doesn't know what information he gave up at the time.
And then he lets the shark eat the guy.
And then the shark dies because he's no longer in water.
He's not in water. And Bond just walks away.
Yeah.
Presumably drinking a martini.
Yeah, and smoking a cigarette. as Bond will do.
Correct.
Yeah, so issue 1 was wild. And the thing that I noticed was there's a lot more blatant violence in the comics than there is in most of the movies.
Yeah, it's pretty bloody.
And yeah, you just see like stuff explode, people are on fire. And I like that.
Yeah, again, that is a comic book toe the line thing, right? You can do that stuff in a written novel. You can't really get away with that in a PG-13 movie.
No. Well, and like in the movies, they play off Bond as like this dignified killer.
Yeah.
He's like, and you know what I mean? Like Bond wouldn't slash your throat, but he
Right.
will poison your drink.
Sure.
And I think what the comic does so eloquently is blend the two
Yeah.
of just like, why not both?
Yeah.
You know, like, why not?
Well,
It's cheaper.
that historically has been a complaint about the movie versus the book, is that in the book, Bond is a sociopath. Like he knows what the job is. He knows how to get it done. And that's part of the reason why he's such a womanizer. That's another tool in his toolbox. But he does a lot of that kind of like pretty messed up stuff in the book. Like,
Interesting.
he'll slit your throat. He'll garrote you, with a wire
Yeah.
without batting an eye.
For Queen and Country.
For Queen and Country, exactly.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I'm glad you brought that up. So as Hammerhead progresses, you find out that the daughter is Kraken.
Yes.
She had her father killed so that she could, I'm gonna get this right, make sure that she has control over the nukes so that everybody has to buy her super weapon
To protect their own country from nukes.
from nukes. Exactly. And the super weapon's called Hammerhead.
Yeah.
Hence the name of the...
And it's basically a giant Glock railgun on a boat.
Yeah. It can shoot 2,000 miles away.
It's pretty fucking wild.
Yeah.
It's an intense looking, like, because you look at it and you're just like, that boat has a complex because that gun is way too large for it.
That boat's dick is rock hard.
and it shot a laser right to the moon. And it is, yeah, and like her reasoning was just like, she's like, I'm doing this for Britain because like,
Yes.
we made our history on the backs of like basically colonizing.
Yeah.
And then like, and she's like, we've gotten away from that. And she says, and I quote, I want to make Britain great again.
Yep.
And I'm wondering when this was written as far as Trump era tactics.
I know. I read that before I was going to bed, and I meant to look it up.
Because
But it
I think it's
seems...
too convenient.
Yeah.
And so there is this like very clever conversation about nationalism that is now happening.
Yes.
And it's like, because we may not think about it this way, but James Bond is also a nationalist.
Sure.
Because he will do anything for Great Britain.
Yeah.
And so will this woman.
Right.
But it's two sides of a coin now.
Yeah.
Like, so now we have to talk about, is there good nationalism and is there bad nationalism?
Right.
And so that's a fun thing that kind of blossoms out of these books.
Yeah. And that does... Some of the best Bond villains, I've always said, are just the dark side of James Bond.
Yeah, like, because Bond has a restraint that I don't think he really knows that he does. But all the villains and why he connects with them so viscerally is because they're mirrors of him.
Yeah.
Giving in to chaos.
Yeah, they're the burned half of Two-Face.
Yeah, no, truly.
Right.
And so that's why Bond villains are so captivating, because we're all left there in the movies of just like, well, what if Bond, goes bad? Well, we don't have to wait that long because he's fighting Bonds that go bad.
Yeah, exactly.
And he's fighting one right now in Hammerhead, and she essentially launches a nuclear warhead that she steals from MI6 to blow up London.
Correct.
It's almost brilliant, because like if you want to convince people that you're not the bad guy, you blow up your own shit.
Yeah.
And then claim innocence.
That's exactly what she's doing. She's going to blow up London so that Great Britain buys all these Hammerhead warheads, makes her a pretty penny, and starts another arms race.
Yeah,
exactly.
Essentially another Cold War.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's not only Great Britain who would buy her arms.
It's everybody.
Every other country in the world.
Exactly.
We should also mention we're drinking vodka drinks.
Oh, yeah.
For the show.
I wanted to find canned martinis because that seems like our vibe.
Yeah.
But I couldn't find a canned martini.
Redneck spies.
Yeah. So I picked up some vodka seltzers.
And they're delightful. They're making me feel very regal.
Yeah, they're just fine.
And yeah, so getting back to Hammerhead, I mean, yeah, so Bond has to go in, one-man show.
Yep. Infiltrate the boat
that Kraken is holding Hammerhead on, which is the big laser railgun.
The big fuck-off gun.
He has to essentially just get inside the gun and use it to shoot the nuclear missile out of the sky.
Correct.
Which, spoiler alert, he does.
I have to talk about one of my favorite parts of this comic too. It's how he gets to the boat.
Okay.
So Bond befriends a smuggler who Kraken has hired to smuggle the nuke across border, wherever it's going.
Right.
The smuggler senses that something's off because Kraken has said, kill this guy, no questions asked. And the guy's like,
I don't do that.
I don't do that.
Yeah.
I don't do no questions asked. So he investigates Bond, asks him a bunch of questions. Bond's like, let's talk this out. They talk it out.
Yeah.
Basically become friends. They find out that the nuke
is fake.
It is fake. It doesn't have the nuclear warhead. And these guys were being set up. Kraken was going to use them as the scapegoat for her nuke strike against London. So Bond tells these guys, he's like, I hate being double-crossed. What do you need? Right? So Bond's like, I need a jet and I need you to drop me over the ocean.
Yeah. And this guy's like, okay, that's going to take a minute to get that.
Yeah. So in one of my favorite action set pieces, Bond has a parachute and the guy's like, it's the open ocean.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
He jumps out of the plane, pulls his chute, and lands on a fucking submarine. Everybody on the sub is like, who is this? How did you know we were here? And then they're like, oh, Commander Bond.
Yeah.
It's the sub that he used to command when he was in the Navy.
Hey, James.
And I fucking love that because very rarely do you get those pieces of James Bond's past.
Right.
And this book touches on them in a couple of different ways. The arms dealer, the dad, knew Andrew Bond.
His dad.
James Bond's dad.
Yeah.
Because he was, I think, an arms dealer himself.
I think James' dad's father bought guns for MI6 or the British military or something.
Was that the
along
implication?
Those, yeah,
Okay.
like they knew each other because like
through arms dealing. They knew each other through arms
guns
dealing.
from this guy.
Okay, yeah. So you get that little tidbit, and then you get to see Bond's whatever first mate has now been elevated to captain of the submarine.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's just that kind of stuff is so brilliant. like using that background.
Well, and, like, you get the history of Bond without having to do like flashbacks.
Yeah, exactly.
And so they just like pepper that in so quick. You're just like, oh, okay, well,
yeah.
James Bond used to work on a submarine. Interesting.
Yep. He used to be a commander in the British Navy.
Oh, would you look at that?
And then his bit about why did you quit the Navy? Oh, the food. Like,
Yeah, the food was terrible. Well, and yeah, everything else is also terrible.
yeah. So he tells these dudes, well, he says, I would have contacted you, but your sub was retrofitted by the arms company.
Yes.
So I couldn't radio you because it would have been intercepted.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like, we got to go stop this. And the sub basically
Is like, okay.
okay. And I guess they go AWOL or whatever.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess if were they on course for anything, or
don't
were they
know.
just? I don't know how submarines work. I don't know if they're just like hanging out in the ocean, just waiting for a call.
Yeah.
Like, hey, we need you over here. It's like weird army Uber,
Right.
or something.
But whatever reason, they take Bond to the boat where Kraken and Hammerhead are, and wouldn't you know it, M and Moneypenny are also on that boat with the defense minister
Yes.
of Great Britain,
Yes.
who gets murdered just right there.
His head is in two,
Yeah.
like a watermelon, just split down the middle.
He thinks he is invincible because he is, a member,
government
a higher
agent,
member of the
yeah.
government. And Kraken does not give a shit. So she blasts him. Another great James Bond moment is when Moneypenny says, I can't let what's in M's head out. It's
Yeah.
too important.
Right.
So
She was gonna kill him,
she puts a gun to her boss's head.
which we've all been there, folks.
Yeah, of course. Wouldn't we all?
And for country, you do what you got to do.
That's right.
Or just free bagels in the break room every once in a while.
The bagels aren't good enough anymore.
Some people quiet quit, and
And some people pull the gun.
I lock and glock. That's anything you got to do for a good review.
Yeah. I just loved that moment because that, again, gets to the heart of like
Yeah.
who these agents are, right? Like, yes, they're all friends and yes, they're all whatever, but like at the end of the day, they're going to do what it takes to get this
They
job
all
done.
understand the assignment.
Yeah, exactly. And even M is like, he makes a joke about, oh, we're going to talk about this at your next review. And Moneypenny's like, yeah, probably, but
Yeah. You should give me good remarks because I did the right thing.
yeah, exactly.
And to go back a little further to like issue 2, after this arms dealer, the dad is killed, the daughter and Bond are on the private jet,
Oh, yeah, and they pork.
and they have sex. And it's
course.
just like, your dad's been dead for, I don't know, 15 minutes?
Have you seen how hot Bond is?
Enough to make you forget about your dead dad.
Yeah, bro.
We've all met that guy.
Come on.
I thought that was like, I was like, is that like a prerequisite? It's just like, okay, we have to have Bond having sex in these books. Where can he? I guess here on the plane.
I don't know that it's a prerequisite, but I think in this book it helped the story because it makes you think that like, okay, Bond's protecting this girl.
Yeah.
They have feelings for each other.
Yeah. Which is why he's so pissed off.
Which he's pissed off. She's obviously manipulating him way more than, would be necessary.
Yeah. But and I think she also said it was like, I had a good time.
Yeah.
Like I didn't hate it.
Yeah.
So this is funny that even if he's your worst enemy, you still want to get a piece of Bond.
Of course. He's probably got a huge hog.
It may not be huge, but I bet he knows how to use it.
That's probably true.
That's the thing.
It's true. So, of course, Hammerhead ends, like Greg said, with Bond shooting a nuke out of the sky with the Hammerhead railgun.
Right.
And then...
The railgun into the boat.
Correct.
And therefore incinerating everyone in the boat.
Yep.
Which
Sinks
was
the boat,
sick.
sinks Hammerhead. And what does M say? They nationalized the company, so the company then becomes property of the British government. We don't have to worry about Hammerhead. No, they said they are going to continue Hammerhead development. Well, that was right.
Yeah.
and
but now it's British.
It's British property. They're
Yeah.
going to make the money.
Yeah.
And that's Hammerhead.
And then the last shot is James Bond lighting a cigarette, looking up at the British flag.
Classic.
As you do.
Classic.
And people may think that's cheesy, but imagine Clint Eastwood doing that in a movie.
Yeah.
And you'd be willing to go to war for anything. If you saw Clint Eastwood lighting a cigar, looking at the Stars and Stripes, going, "That's for you, babe.
That's for you, America."
And then sauntering off into the sunset. You picked Hammerhead because it was one of your favorites.
Yeah.
And one of the easier ones to jump into.
Yeah. It's
And
nice
you were-
and consolidated.
And you were correct. I had an absolute blast reading this. I couldn't put it down, which is crazy because it's 6 issues.
Yeah.
And I read those feverishly because they just left you wanting more.
Yeah.
And that's what that's where I'm at now. I want more Bond Dynamite books.
That's
and
what I wanted to
thankfully
hear.
there are
yes.
more books to read, and now we get to do this show because you said that there has been different creative teams to different effects
Yep.
to the books, which we'll talk about. But as of right now, I give Hammerhead 5 out of 5 martinis.
Oh, definitely. 5 shakes out of 5.
Five shakes out of 5. And I'm excited to see the other ones.
Awesome. I'm glad you had a blast.
Yeah, I had an absolute wonderful time reading this.
Yeah. So go pick up Hammerhead. I would recommend Hammerhead to any comic book reader easily.
Oh, for sure.
I would recommend it to any Bond fan easily.
Yeah.
It's a total blast. I love it to death. I'm excited you liked it because sometimes I know enough to know that my rose-colored glasses make things look better.
Yeah.
But I don't know how much, to what extent that happens.
I think the only detriment to this book is that it's on Dynamite. So it gets lost in the boobage of every other title that they have. Shockingly, they have restraint of only 2 to 3 covers for each issue.
Wait till we do like James Bond Origins.
Oh no.
As a 12-issue mini or maxi, I guess. But yeah, 4 covers for
There we
each
go.
issue.
Yep.
And yeah, I'll bring, when we do some of these bigger ones, I'll bring some of my alternate covers because I think I've got a dozen covers for issue 1 of that Warren Ellis series.
God. All right, so it is Dynamite confirmed.
Yeah.
Confirmed Dynamite book.
Oh, definitely.
All right, cool. That was the preview of
Yeah.
the Bond show that Andy and I are going to be doing over there. Again, patreon.com/First Issue Club. You can find us over there. Not only Bond shows, but we do our weekly Patreon show over there, which is, just us shooting the shit and talking about.
I was gonna say freeform, but
it's more like beat poetry over there.
Yeah.
We talk about stuff that we've bought, stuff that we liked, stuff that we don't like.
Yeah.
Kissing tips.
It's a good time.
So go check that out. Thanks for listening. Next week we'll be back with more news and more First Issue Club. Mike D will be back, and then we'll have, the boys all together in the club once more.
Finally.
All right, guys. Go to your local comic book shop, buy comics, support them, and remember to bag and board them. Bye.